What's going on, traders? A few things to talk about. The focus of this video is going to be Nvidia earnings and what institutions plan on doing when it comes to their earnings. Before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So, Friday, something very interesting happened. Institutions loaded up not only puts for Nvidia, but they also loaded up on calls. And so we got to talk about both sides and what I'm looking to do when it comes to Nvidia earnings. So first things first, we go to quant data and we see that institutions loaded up the 128 puts for Nvidia. As you guys can see, you look down here, the date was February 21st, which was this past Friday. And then you scroll over, you see Nvidia, and then you see March 21st is the expiration, 128 strike puts. And then you scroll over and you see that they were loaded up at 139. Nvidia closed at 134. So this position is currently in profit. And as you guys can see, the premiums are 500K, 100K, 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 so on and so forth. You get the idea. And then sentiment bearish, and then you see the various institutions that loaded up on these positions here. But not only did they load up 128 puts, they loaded up on 138 put, not 138, 130 puts and 125 puts. Now I'm not going to go over every single strike because I don't want to hold you guys for too long. You just got to trust me, or you can use the quant data link in the description below to look it up yourself. And so another thing happened on Friday, right? They not only loaded up on puts towards the downside, but in the background, they loaded up on 150 calls, right? For the same date, March 21st. So we click on this spike right here. And as you guys can see, once it loads, February 21st, that was Friday, right? We scroll over. Nvidia, March 21st is the expiration. 150 strike calls, and they were loaded up at 136.9, 136.8, give or take. You scroll over, you see that they were all at the ask, which means they bought. The premiums are 600K, 600K, 300K, so some pretty heavy premiums, right? And then the sentiment is bullish, and then you see, the various institutions that are loaded up in these positions, right? And so we go to the charts, right? We go to the charts, and this is what I'm looking for when it comes to Nvidia. The first thing I'm looking for is if we're going to continue to drop heading into their earnings. And what's interesting enough is that the 200-day SMA is all the way at 125. Remember, I said they not only loaded up 128 puts, but they loaded up 125 puts as well. And the 200-day SMA is at 125. So what I'm thinking can happen, and take this with a grain of salt. This is all speculation. Is that we head towards the 200-day SMA, but not only do we head towards the 200-day SMA, we head a little bit below it, clear out this fair value gap down here, possibly form some type of higher low, and then heading into Nvidia earnings, we go absolutely ballistic towards the upside and head towards 163. Okay. Now, again, this is speculation, right? We're not there. We can easily just bounce from here and just start heading higher from here, right? But we do have a bearish engulfing candle right here that formed at that 140. Remember, I tell you guys all the time, Nvidia has a very hard time getting above 140 right here. These bears right here, you got a bunch of bears right here stepping in. You got these bears stepping in, these bears stepping in. So every time we get above 140, what happens? We sell off. And so institutions loaded up those 128 puts. Us in the Discord, we got into those same positions. We took profit prior to close because I didn't want to hold Nvidia puts into over the weekend because Nvidia is very volatile when it comes to news. So I didn't want to hold anything over the weekend when it comes to semiconductors. But if Nvidia continues to drop heading into its earnings, the more bullish I'm going to get when it comes to its actual earnings, right? And so another thing interesting happened, and this was the day prior to Friday, right? Our Discord bot alerted to us that institutions are loading up SMH calls with a strike of 285, expiration date April 17, 2025, and a total premium of 1.07 million. And this is where things get really interesting, guys. All right. So we go to SMH. So it goes without saying, SMH has this massive bearish engulfing candle. Not only a massive bearish engulfing candle, but you can argue that this is a evening star as well, which is a bearish pattern. And its 200-day SMA is at around 247, 245, give or take. And so what's also interesting here is that this supply and demand zone right here is a monthly supply and demand zone. This level right here at 245 is a monthly level. And so if we continue to head further down, heading into Nvidia's earnings, I do imagine that obviously SMH is going to head down, but not only head further down, but retest this 200-day SMA at around 245, 247, give or take. Now, if we scroll out, right, we see that there are gaps towards the upside that need to be mitigated when it comes to SMH. We go to the 4-hour time frame. And so we go to the 4-hour time frame here, and we're pretty illiquid back towards the upside. There's a lot of fair value gaps towards the upside that needs to be liquidated. So all the way up towards 280, you have a fair value gap that needs to be liquidated. Now, I don't think SMH is going to, blow all the way up towards 290 for Nvidia earnings. I think Nvidia earnings will have to go well past 163 for that to even happen. But I do think it's going to be the start of something. I do think if Nvidia beats earnings, it's going to be the start of a bull run towards the upside. And remember, anytime Nvidia does one thing, typically a few days or weeks after, it does the opposite. So if it beats for its earnings, it usually, if it beats for its earnings and runs towards the upside, then usually you get an opposite effect a few days after. So I'm not marrying the upside for too long. I do think the market is going to see a much bigger drop. We'll have to wait and see, of course. I can be absolutely wrong on that. But again, institutions loaded up calls for SMH. And if you don't know, SMH is a semiconductor ETF, and its number one holding is Nvidia. So it seems like not only institutions are looking at those 150 calls for Nvidia for March 21st, and you can argue it's hedging. Of course, you can by all means do that, but they're also loading up SMH calls, 285 calls. And as you guys can see, we're pretty illiquid towards the upside. We go to the 2 hour time frame. Not only are we a liquid towards the upside, but we have gaps that have not been filled towards the upside when it comes to SMH. So right here, you have a gap at 260 that needs to be cleared out. You scroll out and you go back further. You're pretty illiquid all the way towards 270. But not only that, you have a gap at around 273 that needs to be cleared out as well, right? So it's very much possible we see a move towards the 280s. Do I think Nvidia earnings is going to make that happen overnight? Absolutely not. That would be great, of course, but I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think it's just going to be the start of the bull run back towards the upside, and then we'll have to see what happens from there. So you guys let me know what you think about that. And so we go to CNBC, right? Because you guys like fundamentals. Some of you like fundamentals and get mad and start raging when I don't go over fundamentals and stuff. So we're seeing that a lot of the Mega Seven, or at least half of the Mega Seven, are spending 320 billion combined on AI technology. And if you paid attention to Google earnings, Microsoft earnings, and even Meta earnings, they confirmed that they were spending. They plan on spending more for AI technology. And so we scroll down here, right? And we see Amazon offered the most ambitious spending initiative among the four, aiming to shell out over 100 billion, up from 83 billion in 2024. Microsoft said it would allocate 80 billion in the 2025 fiscal year to create AI workloads data centers, right? Alphabet, Google, targeting 75 billion in capital expenditures this year, with 16 billion to 18 billion expected in the first quarter, blah blah blah, right? And so, you go on and you see, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg set his company AI's capex budget at 60 billion. So these companies are spending on AI tech. And who's the big dog when it comes to AI? Nvidia, right? Who are they buying their chips from? Nvidia. So I don't know. You guys do the math. You let me know what you think in the comments below. So again, once again, for the last time, this is what I'm looking for when it comes to Nvidia. I want to see us sell off towards the downside. I want to see those 128 puts play out. Not only those 128 puts, I would like for those 125 puts to play out as well. But more so, I'm focused on those 128 puts. If we get below 128 and we head towards the 200-day SMA at around 125, that would further confirm my suspicions on those 150 calls when it comes to Nvidia, right? SMH. I want to see us hit or at least get a little bit below the 200-day SMA. A bonus will be us retesting the top of the symmetrical triangle. That would be a bonus. Am I expecting that? No, because we already retested it before, but that would be a bonus, right? But overall, we still have gaps that need to be cleared out towards the upside when it comes to SMH. Fair value gaps, to be specific. We're very illiquid towards the upside when it comes to SMH. I don't think the market is going to go crazy towards the downside. I mean, we did see a massive drop Friday, but I don't think it's going to really, really go crazy until this plays out. All right. I could be wrong. All right. It's earnings at the end of the day, guys. Nvidia can easily beat again and just have terrible guidance, and then the thing tanks. All right. We've seen that not companies, investors really care about guidance more than anything. So Nvidia will not only need to beat, but obviously have amazing guidance. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Discord link is in the description below if you want access to these types of alerts, such as SMH, and various other stock plays and what institutions are in. And that's all I have. Until the next video, trader.